Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and this is going to be the second episode of Where Are They Now, a series I started roughly a month ago, which is going to be taking a look at what I reviewed in the last, a year ago, basically. And I was going to say in the last month, but a year ago. What I reviewed a year ago and what happened to them, all of that. Now, I'm slightly, based on some viewer feedback and suggestions, I'm slightly going to be changing up the way I deal with it a bit. No major things. I'm not going to be heavily going into how the games play or whatnot. This is really just covering what changed or and all of that. So if you know the games, great. If you don't know the games, that's fine too. Might do a few, like a sentence apiece per game. We'll see. Either way, I will specifically be dividing up these sections into what I haven't even played, what didn't change, and what did change. So you won't see that in the timestamps because we're going to have the title and the timestamps. But if you look in the description, you'll see those sections in case you want to jump straight to, the interesting things and things that changed. Additionally, after all of those, I'm going to do a rapid fire just coverage of not things I reviewed, but games I played a year ago in September. Games I played a year ago in September, just covering you, where are they? Are they still hitting the table? What's going on with them? Things like that, just rapid fire going through all of those. So let's go ahead and start this off with the things I haven't played in the past, year. And those are going to be In Too Deep, Seventh Citadel, and Planet Apocalypse. The first two because they are prototypes that I played them, I reviewed them a year ago, and then Planet Apocalypse is one that I reviewed and got rid of. So all those three I haven't played yet, since I haven't played since, which means they're going to maintain their prior ratings, which is going to be In Too Deep was a 4 to 5, Seventh Citadel is going to be a 5 to 5. That's going to be the new version of Seventh Continent. To me, it improves upon Seventh Continent in some ways. Small step back in terms of the theme. It feels a little weird for me, but the rest mechanically, I appreciate and enjoy the exploration, the mechanic, the storytelling elements of Seventh Citadel more. And Planet Apocalypse was a game that I enjoyed. It is a 4 to 5, but it's one that is competing in a very heavy genre, which is why I didn't keep it. I have a lot of games that do the same thing of powers and abilities and characters and running around destroying miniatures, and I didn't like the theme of Planet Apocalypse, and it felt a little too cyclical in what it's doing. Moving on to the section of the things that didn't change. Those are going to be games I reviewed a year ago. I have continued to play them since, meaning I've gotten to the table, I've been enjoying them, but I haven't changed my rating of them, which is not a good or bad thing, it's just they haven't changed. Those are going to be Rurik, Dawn of Kiev, and The Reckoners. Now, Rurik, Dawn of Kiev is going to be a game that has been a 5 out of 5 and continues to be a 5 out of 5. I love the area control in this game, but more specifically, I love the action programming around the area control. I find the puzzle of Rurik to be so intensely satisfying. I really enjoy this game. Reckoners. The Reckoners is going to be a game that I rated a 4 out of 5. I really enjoy it. Can be repetitive, and to that end, it doesn't hit the table often. It hits the table infrequently, but when it does, it's fun for some light little Yahtzee-style dice rolling as we tackle the baddies. And even better, by the way, if you have enjoyed either The Boys, the Amazon TV show, or The Reckoners, the actual book it's based on, if you know the IP around it, it feels even more like you're fighting off these evil, possessed superheroes that have no power, have no concept of the damage they're doing. But either way, it's a 4 to 5, then it is a 4 to 5 now. I'm still enjoying it, still diving back into it. Looking forward to the expansion when it eventually shows up. But yeah, that's going to be The Reckoners. Then for the things that did change, we have 3 games that all changed, all stepped downwards. Now, this is going to be an interesting nuance we'll talk about in a second. Let's go through them one at a time. We have Coatl. Coatl is going to be a game that is an abstract game with snakes, and compared to Azul to a degree, it's got that pattern matching situation. Really enjoyed it at the time. I rated it a 4 initially, and it's one that as I kept playing it, I liked it, but it did kind of creep down a notch a bit. It went down to a 3 and then did leave my collection. I like it, but I have a lot of these puzzly style games, and while Coatl to me I felt had more of a surface level appeal, and the more I played it, the more, again, I still enjoyed it. I still would recommend it, and I believe it has a solid, a solid audience around it, but overall it did go down from a 4 to a 3 for me. Then we have Seventh Continent, not Seventh Citadel, which we already talked about. Seventh Continent was one that when I first played Seventh Continent, it was a 5, and then I had one of those light bulb shattering moments for me that both that hurt the score of Seventh Continent and hurt Seventh Citadel as well, which is, I was watching the Broken Meeple. Broken Meeple's fantastic content creator. I highly recommend watching his stuff, but Broken Meeple was talking about how Seventh Citadel, or Seventh Continent, is a game that he calls Seventh Continent, like, the filing game, or whatever it is, because you spend 50% of your playtime just filing cards in and out, and it kind of had like a little glass shatter moment. If you ever watched How I Met Your Mother, a glass shatter moment is when the glass above your head pops and you realize something that you never really saw before, and he kind of ruined the game for me. That didn't ruin the game. Ruin the game is an extreme sentence, but Seventh Continent, which was previously a 5 for me, when I got it back to the table again and again, I kind of noticed the filing more. I kind of noticed that not 50%, but yes, maybe 20-25% of your game time is going to be spent filing cards. Then if you include the cleanup in that, a decent amount of your time is going to be spent grabbing cards as you try to figure out, riffling through them, 50, 52, 50, and you're going to be going through cards like that. Now, that's a problem that's still present in 7th Citadel. The difference between 7th Citadel and 7th Continent is, so 7th Continent went down from a 5 to a 4 for me, and after I played 7th Citadel, I got rid of 7th Continent because I felt the 7th Citadel did all the things I liked about 7th Continent better. It still had the negative side of filing cards in the system. You still have that downside, but both those games, despite that negative, despite that glass-shattering moment, they both are amazing exploration games, amazing games that give you very unique and innovative gameplay, and I really, really enjoyed them. 7th Citadel I just enjoyed more, and I don't need both of them in my collection. As much as I'm intrigued by both of them, the realisticness of actually tabling them, I felt that 7th Citadel gave me a more of an in-person feel for the journey and more of an attachment to the characters and what was happening. Some aspects of 7th Citadel I thought were a little complex, unnecessarily complex to be more specific, but overall 7th Citadel is the one I prefer and the one I'm looking forward to diving into as soon as that one eventually shows up. And then, lastly, in the things that we have that change, we have Mercado de Lisboa. Now, this is going to be an interesting one in the sense that this went from a 3 to a 3, which is not really a change, so to speak, but the problem is, within a 5-point rating scale, there's only so much nuance you have, so if something shifts downwards to me in a noticeable way, even if the rating remains the same, then I will talk about it here. And Mercado de Lisboa is going to be an abstract game from Eagle Griffin Games that takes the mechanics, the main central marketplace area from Lisboa, and it takes that one thing and it abstracts it into its own little game. And it's I believe they refer to it as a thinky filler. Like, it's a thinky game that is also a filler. And I think that was an apt description. And I played it at the time, and I liked it, and I enjoyed it, and I have since continued to play it, but I kind of recently decided that I'm done with it. Where is it? Where did it go away? I don't remember where it actually went. It showed up in one of my games leaving the collection video. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my time with it, but while it was a 3 and remains a 3, it is one that did leave my collection. That's a notable enough shift that I will mention and address it in this type of video series. Which brings us to the games I played a year ago in September. This is going to be a rapid-fire roundup. Some of them are going to be on the, well, piles next to me. But this is going to be just going over games I played a year ago, and am I still playing them? How do I feel with them? Covering them from those stands. Now, for this list, I'm generally going to avoid prototypes because the very nature of prototypes is if I played a prototype a year ago, I'm probably not playing it now because I haven't had the opportunity to do so, or it's a prototype and I don't really dive into prototypes again. At least when I do so, it's infrequent. In fact, I may actually allow an exception that if I have played prototypes again, I may talk about it because that is a notable exception. Most of the time, I vastly prefer waiting for the final game, the deluxe game, the one that's not prototype components, and so I tend to wait even when I like the games. So let's go start going through this list, and I don't know if I will or won't have individual timestamps for each of these games because of rapidly going through them. Like I said, these are going to be all the games, all the unique games I played in September of 2020. So, starting off the bat, we have Rajas of the Ganges. Rajas of the Ganges is going to be a game that is a dice placement game that I really enjoy and have continued to dive back into it. I want to play it more than I currently do. I also recently started playing Rajas the Dice Charmers, which actually does a decent job of capturing the feel of Rajas the Ganges. But overall, I like it, and I still continue to be diving back into that one. We have Inish. Now, Inish is going to be an area control game. It's another 5 out of 5 for me. One of my top games. I believe it's like my top 5 games of all time. But Inish is one that I really, really enjoy it. I have not played it as much this past year, but I still have been tabling it. It's one that tends to go through these periods where it hits the table a lot in our group. Then we find something new and shiny. We play that for a bit. Inish has been played multiple times over the past year, but it's a game that used to hit the table like at least once a month, and it's probably gone down a bit in the frequency that it hits the table. Still really enjoying it though, still playing that one a lot. We have Codenames Duet. This one consistently hits the table. Codenames or Codenames Duet in general, one of the two of them is consistently hitting the table. It is just all around a good time, and one that's easy to play with a variety of people. I primarily play Codenames Duet either with Ricky, my daughter, or my wife Rena, but it is one that's still hitting the table. We have Quodd Heroes. Quodd Heroes, which is behind me down there, is one that actually has not hit the table in over a year, well, I shouldn't say over a year. I can't remember exactly when I reviewed it, but at some point, whenever, I'd have to figure the timeline. Either way, whenever it was, Quodd Heroes is one that I have not been playing in the past year. I've played it September 2020, have not gotten to the table. It's one that I really like the game, It could potentially wind up in a Games Leaving the Collection video. I hope not, though, because I actually really like it. It's a messy, chaotic sprawl of a game that they actually will have another Kickstarter coming up at some point, which, if I haven't gotten rid of it, I'll still be sucked into it because I really enjoy what the game is doing. It's a messy game to actually table. It's one that falls into the category of I kind of want more time to play games because I'm not going to pull it out on an infrequent basis. So it does have that potential chopping block area where I'm less driven to play it out. I'm less driven to pull it out, despite how much I enjoy Quodd Heroes. Then we have Tak, which is an amazing game, one of my favorite abstract games, and one that consistently hits the table. It's so easy to pull this out when you have two people who know the game and who just want to give it a shot. I consistently pull out and play Tak. We have Bruges. Bruges is a game that saw a lot of online play during the pandemic when our game group basically stopped playing in person for like 4 or 5 months and we played exclusively online. And to that end, Bruges saw a lot of play because it's on Coatl, which was our website of choice, and we really, really enjoyed it. And then we got it, and we've since been playing it in person. Now, it saw a lot more play when it was online, and one of a few online games we really enjoyed playing. But overall, I've still been enjoying Bruges, and I still have been playing Bruges, just less frequently than when it was online. Then we have the Oracle of Delphi, which is in Shrink, which should tell you all you need to know. The Oracle of Delphi is another game that we played on Coatl, and we really enjoyed it, and so I got the physical copy back. I used to have a physical copy of it back when I basically had every Stefan Feld game. I eventually moved on from it, and I got it back based on enjoying it online. I'm still keeping it for right now, but it's one of those weird things where I really enjoy the game, but I also haven't played it since my last plays of it in September 2020 online. And so we'll see how it actually goes in terms of whether it hits the table in person or not. I enjoy the game, I like it, but I like a lot of games, so it's on that inevitable eyeing the chopping block kind of thing, because I haven't played it in a year. We have Dale of Merchants, which is not here. That's one that has seen less and less play as time goes on. I am still constantly reluctant to get rid of it. I've talked about Dale of Merchants before. It's simultaneously a game system that I like a lot and have critiques of, and whenever I critique it, I get people who come out vigorously to defend it, which I love. I'm glad that it has a passionate audience. I am sort of part of that passionate audience. There's a reason it hasn't gone. It's a deck builder system that has tons of little factions, lots of ways to mix up the experience, but ultimately one that I'm critical of the way the game actually plays out. I find ignoring abilities and focusing, not completely ignoring, but focusing more on just getting things done as opposed to thinking about the way things chain and combo tends to be more efficient, at least for myself and who I'm playing with it. So I simultaneously like it and also don't like it at the same time, which is why it hasn't seen play in a long time. It has been played over the past year, but I think it's been pulled out like once since that September play. Then we have Welcome to New Las Vegas. Now that one really shouldn't be on this list. I mean, short version of Welcome to New Las Vegas. It is the version of Welcome to Your Perfect Home. That is a roll and write or flip and write card game. And Welcome to New Las Vegas is one that is a more complicated version of the same game that gives you more complexity without greater return on depth or whatnot. So I didn't really keep that one, played it, got rid of that one. It left my collection a while ago. Then we have Marvel United, which has been continuing to see play. My September 2020 play is likely going to be back when I had just the retail version of the game when I got the Kickstarter. I didn't really play it again for a while. I think I maybe got one more play of it in after that. And then once the Kickstarter arrived with all the new content, since then it continues to hit the table. It is one that I play with my family, with my friends, with my wife, with whoever. I really enjoy Marvel United, and I'm continuing to play that one and enjoying it. Then we have Cockroach Poker. Cockroach Poker continues to see play all the time. It is a consistent, regular filler in our group. Great for, half an hour of laughs at the end of a long night, and still continuing to play that one. We have Machina Arcana. Machina Arcana is a game that I love. I don't think I was rating this back when I reviewed this one, but I probably would have been a 5 out of 5. I really, really enjoyed Machina Arcana. It is it pulls you in. The art is amazing, and it doesn't even have miniatures, and I still love it, but the art's amazing. The tension of running through the dungeon is amazing. It's really a dungeon crawler, although the creator does not like to call it a dungeon crawler, but it's a dungeon crawler in what it's effectively accomplishing. It's got a steampunk vibe, got equipment that's hard to get, lots of hard decisions to be made, limited resources, works really well. Also, I haven't played it in the past year, which makes me a little sad. I don't know why, any particular reason. I don't know. I don't have a good reason as to why I haven't played it. But no, it's not even remotely on the chopping block. I enjoy it too much. It just happens to have not been tabled. The very nature of content creation does mean I've played more games that are, newer games and for the channel, for whatever, as opposed to older favorites. I do prioritize playing, stuff that has to be covered. And as time goes on, as I eventually, close down or leave Board Game Co., the retail operation, I'll get more time back into my life. Hopefully, that is the plan. And some of that time will go towards actually playing the games I love. as opposed to playing games that I have to. Not that there's not overlap. There's definitely overlap, and as we can see from the video so far, I'm still playing plenty of the games I love. Then we have Cyclades. Cyclades is going to be one that has consistently seen play. That is another one that goes through periods of boom and bust. I'll play it for a few times. I'll be like, we should play this game more, and then we will, and then I'll stop playing it, and then 6 months will go by and I'll play it again. I'll be like, we should play this game more, and it has gone through like 2 more booms, or so to speak, since September of last year, which means it's one that is still consistently hitting the table. And if anything, it's actually rising in my ranking. Games will always have an ebb and flow when I do my top 50, top 100, top whatever, and Cyclades is one that I think is going to be rising in that rankings. I consistently enjoy it. There's a second edition coming at some point, but we'll see. Right now I'm just focusing on playing it because I really enjoy it. Then we have Tigris Euprates, which as of last week, if you watched my Games Leaving the Collection video, it went away. Now I have played it multiple times since that September 2020 play. I have played it a few times since then and enjoyed it along the way, but it's one that I love the game. I think it's an excellent game, but I'm ready to move on from it. I just find that these days, when I do pull it out and play it, I consistently win. I'd have to look at my stats on the app, but I think I win nearly every single game I play. I know it really well because I've been playing it for 10 years consistently, while Game Group people have shifted in and out and either played it or not played it. And I really like it. I enjoy it a lot. And it's a combination of me winning too often and me being a bit bored with mechanics that don't consistently shift or whatnot. It's a very solid puzzle, very well done puzzle. Maybe I'll have buyer's remorse or seller's remorse and get it back at some point, but for right now, Tigris Euprates is going away. And we have Watergate by Capstone Games, I think. Watergate, which is going to be the 2-player head-to-head game. Now, I have played Watergate in the past year. I've played it a bunch of times, but I definitely went through, when I first got it, I went through a ton of plays, and then it definitely kind of trickled down. I have played it over the past year, but not nearly as much as when it was first around. I probably haven't played it in like 3-4 months now. I should table it again. It is a good game, not in any danger of going away. I really like Watergate, and we'll see how that goes. Well, whatever. Century Golem Edition. Century Golem Edition is one that I have not really... Have I? See, most of these things I'm actually just going by the fact that I know I've played something in the past year. I probably should check the ones that I'm not certain of. I'm not certain if I've played Century Golem Edition. It's one that I play generally when Ricky wants to play it. I enjoy the Century series, but I don't love the Century series. I have actually the full trilogy. I have all in the Golem Edition. I have Century Eastern Wonders, Century Golem Edition, Century the Eastern Wonders Golem Edition, and Century New World Golem Edition, whatever they're actually called. But all 3 of the Golem Editions, and I haven't played the new ones. I've played Eastern Wonders, the original, not the Golem Edition, but either way, side point. Century Golem Edition is one that I played in September 2020, and I don't think I've played, or if I have, not much since then. But it's not in danger of going anywhere. It's a game that I enjoy playing and Ricky enjoys playing, so whenever she wants to play it, I'll happily play it. And it's a great gateway game. It's one that I do pull out when we're looking for a gateway audience of people to play it with, because it's really solid. It gives you that strategy, that depth, while not being overbearing at the same time. It's very simple to teach, very simple to play, and I enjoy the puzzle of it when I do play it, even if it is basically just math and optimization, but I enjoy math and optimization. Then we have Zombicide Black Plague. Zombicide Black Plague, as you might imagine, has continued to hit the table. It actually has gone down a bit in terms of how frequently it hits the table, but it's still consistently hit the table, meaning it may have gone from hitting the table once a month to hitting the table every second month or something like that. It's definitely gone down, but it still has a continued appearance at, well, basically being played, which means, I mean, even if it didn't, it would stick around for a while. I really like Zombicide Black Plague. It is still my favorite Zombicide, and I still haven't explored all the content. There's still tons of stuff, including the dragon, that I've never bothered getting around to playing with, so we'll see how that goes. And then finally, and lastly, we have the Quest for El Dorado, which sadly, I have played in the past year, but it's kind of tapered off. It's not going anywhere. I love the game. I have both expansions. I haven't played with either expansion. I need to really just go through the rules and prep myself to play the expansions. But the Quest for El Dorado is one that I really like it. It's by Reina Knizia, another Reina Knizia game. It's got deck building. It does a really solid job at feeling like a good, fun little race. Really enjoy it. Plays in a short playtime. I have nothing but good things to say about the Quest for El Dorado. It just happens to be it has really gone downhill in terms of how often it gets played. But that will change. I'll pull it out one day and play it again, and it'll continue to show up. It's, again, not in any danger of going anywhere. That has been kind of a general, what I reviewed, where they are now, and how things are going in terms of games I did at one point play, and whether I'm still playing them or not. Games go through, cycles of how things go, and sometimes not playing a game in a year means that I'm looking at it and thinking about why I'm not playing in a year and whether it'll go away. Other times, they're safe because I love them too much, and there's other reasons why they're not being played. Until next time, I am Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. This has been your Where Are They Now, Episode 2, or some such title. I may change the name, we'll see. Someone pointed out that the problem with the name Where Are They Now is it doesn't tell people, unless you know what the series is, it doesn't tell people what the series is. So I may need a better title or something, or maybe just Where Are They Now reviews a year later. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Kind of immaterial. But for right now, the title will probably be Where Are They Now? With some other tagline. In any case, I am Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. Where am I? In any case, I am Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, have a good one.